Hey campers, George here, back in the man cave. Remember the knife show Keith and I went to, the gun show? Well, I picked up these two knives. Very cool. Copenhagen. Schrade. Let's check them out. So here's one of the knives. Okay, let me get the other one. These two here, see them? They're advertisers from Schrade. I didn't know they did this and came across these at the show, the gun show with Keith. They were actually in a box full of about 100 old-timer knives. And yep, they look like them, don't they? Well, looking them up, come to find out they're basically old-timers that Schrade used for advertising for Copenhagen chew, tobacco, snuff, whatever you want to call it. These things, you know, the little cans. Well, they made advertisers for them, and when you bought the Copenhagen product, you got a little coupon. You collected, I don't know, 5 coupons, and you sent in $2, and you got a knife, an old-timer. But it said Copenhagen on it. Very cool knives. Well made. It's an old-timer. See them? And apparently, they made a couple of different ones. Now, you know, I go online and I search, and you've got to research the research that you researched. Because I got to tell you, with all this AI stuff, most of it is correct. But you got to read it carefully, because they take the information from hundreds of different places. For example, I saw them talk about this guy, okay, or something similar to it. And they said it was a lockback. Nope. And I looked and I couldn't find one. They talked about Barlow's and all different models, and they probably did. I don't know, but I couldn't find a Barlow that had the Copenhagen badge on it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. They did these around the early to mid 1990s. Is when they produced these. They actually did them for Copenhagen and Skull, probably the two most common ones out there. And I believe that is the US Tobacco Company who made them. And that's who they did it for. Great little pocket knives. They're not very big, you can see. They're small. This is a single blade with a long clip on it. And here's a 2-blade, which I thought was a little unusual, because you've got your clip and a serrated, I don't know, sheep's foot. It almost pretty close to a Warrenclyffe. Doesn't have a really steep downward curve on it, but it's probably a sheep's foot style. You can see it there. They're well made. The other interesting thing was, you know, they said stainless steel. Well, nope, this is carbon. So I'm not sure. I think there were probably a couple of different runs that were done. I know they did it for Copenhagen and for Skull knives. I like this style. Now, old-timer typically have the brown Delrin, I don't know, saw cut handles and silver bolsters, that sort of thing. I like this black and gold. It's not gold, but it's black and brass, I suppose you'd call it. And I think it's a really nice look. It's a very old school, traditional history look to it. And that's why I like them. I do have some others that I came across, and as soon as I saw them, I was like, wow, I want them. Let me get them for you. Here it is here. This is one of them. This is a 2-blade jack here, and it's made by it's an old cutler, and I believe that was colonial, but it has that look. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not so much the style, but the coloring, if you understand what I'm saying. It just reminds me, I can see a guy with his cap, his naval hat, naval uniform, during the cutter days, the sailing ships. And they would have this in their pockets. It just has that look. Anywho, those were the old cutler, I think they were called, right? Very similar, right? And these, of course, were made by Schrade. I believe originally Schrade Walden, and then obviously Schrade took him over. It became Schrade. So very cool. The badge, you can see it there. And of course, on the tang stamp actually says, and it's kind of weird, it says Schrade Cope USA. So they actually had a specific tang stamp for it that the Schrade Copenhagen made in the USA. On the blades, these you can't see them, okay? These are kind of old and it's gone away. But they had etched onto the blade Copenhagen on the blade. So very specific. I mean, they, normally when manufacturers do that, they would just make the knife, put the badge on, maybe etch the blade, but the tang stamp would have the actual company tang stamp. This is a special tang stamp, which I thought was cool. The differences you see here, and I wasn't sure why, but you can see here on this one they put the badge there, yet on this one they put it here. Maybe when the badge didn't fit there very well. Is the only reason I can think of. So anyway, as you can see, they're a little rusty and they need to clean up. So that's what I want to do, and I wanted to share them with you. And this one, if you look carefully, was in somebody's pocket, because look at that. There you go. How many years has that been in there? They shouldn't take a lot of cleanup, but two very cool knives. These were really popular, and I know that they made a Stockman, the 2-blade, the single blade. They made them for a while for them, because I think they stopped production in 2004 when their Elandvale factory closed down in 2004. Very nice. Let's go do it. So yeah, we have them here. We got the single blade, just single blade jack, peanut, whatever you want to call it, and then the 2-blade guy. So what we're going to do is the usual story. We're going to go through and clean up everything. We're going to use sandpaper. We'll start at a pretty heavy grit, probably around 400 to 600, and go up from there, maybe 1200, 7,000, and then of course mothers. And we'll clean up everything. We've got the well. You can see the well there is pretty nasty. There's a lot of rust hanging around there. See it on the blade here, especially around the bolster. Obviously this got wet sitting there, build up. So once we do all that, we'll hit them with mothers and everything, and then of course sharpen them. So we're going to go through each one. You know how that works. I really like these. These are pretty knives. Let's have at it. So yeah, I have my sandpaper. I've got 800 to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 7,000, and then the 600 wet dry that I used to clean the wells with. So we'll work our way through all of them. Of course, you want to support your blade. I just have this piece of wood so that when you put it down, you're not putting too much pressure on the bolster here, otherwise you can mess it up. So it's in pretty good condition, shouldn't take much. That's why I decided to go with 800 to 1,000 first. I think that'll be enough to get it cleaned up. If not, I'll go down to a heavier grit. Be careful, this blade is pretty sharp, so be aware of that when you're dealing with these things, okay? So I'm just gonna very lightly rub, get most of the, certainly the heavier stuff. Let's see how this does. It's coming off, and if you look, when the blade is like that, you can only get that far into it, okay? But you can get a little bit further if you do that, and you can see you can get around to those other edges where we couldn't see before. So it's a little bit more you can get to in there. Obviously we're going to oil everything, so hopefully that'll pull it out as well. When you do this, be careful that blade doesn't snap back on your fingers. You want to try and get into all the little nooks and crannies here. Now I go any direction I want, but I always finish a blade in the same direction. And I typically do it long like this. You don't have to press hard, just take your time. See how I keep catching that tip? You can just tilt the blade a little bit. That's why you don't want to press hard, because you're going to put strain on the bolster. And now you can see how it's cleaning the blade up. And you just keep at it. You've got the spine to do. I rock the blade so that I'm not in the same groove all the time. You want to put that point into the wood so you don't catch it. Don't forget underneath the ricasso here, places like that. And of course in there, but that you can do when you do the well. Now you've got things like the nail neck here, and if you look here, the tang stamp has rust in the stamping, and you can just scrape it out. I'm using my this is an old ice pick that I restored, and I just get all this buildup in this nice. So I really like this style nail neck. And it's just build up. Get the heavy stuff off, and then I'll just get some of this, fold it over,
and get into that groove and just give it a quick rub. It's the little things, right? And you can see the build up there. So want to get as much out as you can. It just gives it a cleaner look. It just takes a little persistence. And you can see the nail neck looks cleaner, and when you use mothers you can use that to clean it up. And there you can see the tang stamp. And we keep at it. That was 800 to 1,000. So a good start, and it's starting to shine up nicely. I'm going to do the bolsters and of course the spine here, and then the well. Now I just squeeze this. I want to try to avoid as much as possible rubbing on the actual handle. So you give it a little bit of a squeeze and just lightly go up and down it. The heavier grit is taking away the heavy stuff. You don't need to press hard. The ends. When you're doing this, be careful of the. I use just some painter's tape, just like that. And now you don't have to worry about cutting yourself or anything like that. So now we're going to go here along the well. That edge, everybody sees that, so the prettier you make it, the prettier it looks. Now we got to get into the well, and that's where I use this. Just going to fold it over a couple of times. That way, when I put it in, it rubs both sides of the well at once. So you're just going to get it in there. Oh, it's too thick. And this is where you can get to this edge of the tang of the knife, of the blade. You can get in there and give it a rub. And that's why you have the tape. Your hand slips, it'll sting. And you can see starting to shine a little bit. Always a good thing. And then into that well, back and forth. And you want to rub on the bottom as well. If you angle it like this, this piece here is rubbing on the bottom of the well. And you want to get into all those spots. And up here at the end, you can see the bottom. Well, it's hard to show, but it's starting to shine up a bit. So when you look in there, it looks like somebody cares most of the time. Let's get those edges done now. The sides. Now on bigger knives, the well is bigger and wider. You can double this up and it does a great job. So now we've got to deal with the bolsters. I'm hoping this is not coated. It looks like they're solid, so they're not going to turn silver on me. Would not be good. You're using a heavy grit very lightly here. You see, it doesn't take much. And try to stay off the handles, because this will, you want to keep that saw cut. You don't want to rub that off. And you can see it does not take a lot. Never use heavy on this because it's pretty, metal is pretty soft. It'll be like a brass, copper, or a zinc combination. It's fairly soft, so if you use a heavy grit, it's going to scratch it a lot. You'll be all day getting rid of the scratches you put on. Light rubbing on the pins, and because like I said, you don't want to mess up here, it's just gentle, very gentle, soft. You don't want to get rid of the saw cut look, right? And of course that you don't want to mess up. Mothers will clean up the badge very, very quickly. In fact, it'll probably do the pins on this as well. So there you go. And you can see already a huge improvement. So now we're going to go from the 800, we're going to go to 2000, then 3000, and then 7000. So we're just going to repeat the whole process again. Starting with the blades, all the way back to there. So I'm going to do that. I won't show it all, but we're going to do basically the same thing again with a higher grit. And you can see the blade, it looks shiny already. Now when we work here, you'll see it get shinier and shinier. And here you can see it at higher grit, 2000. I don't think I need to go to 3, I can go straight to 7000 on this one, which is just that regular paper. It just feels like rough paper. And we'll do that now, and you can see you'll start to get real shine out of it now. And here you are here. See how it's getting more of a mirror finish, not so obvious with the scratches. And then mothers will really smooth it out nicely. So that's as far as we go with this one. Now, we're going to be putting mothers on and sharpening it, but I'm going to start on the next one, go that far with it, and then we'll mothers them and sharpen. Now you'll notice it's a little slow on the snap and everything. That's because when we're sanding and things like that, stuff gets in there. So that's why we oil it, but we'll do them once I'm done with this guy. And I'll show you this guy and then I'll show you the end result. Otherwise, your day will be wasted. You can see how bad this one is. Okay. It's going to take a lot more to do. Now remember I told you about the wide well. This will double over in there really nicely. So I'm going to do this one and I'll show you the end result. Probably going to start at a little bit heavier grit and then work my way up. So here we are with this one at 7,000. And you know, you saw how bad those blades were, but they cleaned up. Very nice. Very shiny. Now we go to mothers, and then we're going to sharpen them. This is going to be a fun one. So I'm just going to use mothers. This really works well. It really smooths out the shine. Makes it a little bit more even. Just using a shop cloth, which I'm running out of, the horror, and we just do the whole knife. Doesn't take a lot. Just dab it on and lightly rub it. Be careful on the handles. If you rub too fast, too hard, they overheat. So just keep that in mind. So. And you can see it takes off a fine film. And here you can see how it smooths out that shine. You can see it doesn't take much. I'm going to carry on and do the whole thing. Handle, not too hard, not too fast. If you feel it, you'll feel it heating up. Careful the blade. And here you can see it. Nice even shine. Very nice. I really like these knives. They are pretty. Let's do the other one. And here we have this guy here. Very nice. Cleaned up nicely. The blades were in worse shape than the other one, but very pretty. So now I want to put some oil on the bolsters here, work them a bit, get any build-up out of there. Just keep working them. Hopefully get snap back. And then we'll sharpen. Just going to put some mineral oil in all these spots and get it to soak, seep in, and hopefully get a lot of that rust build-up. Just going to work it a bit, putting the oil. Careful holding the blade. These have good snap on. Let's get this one. As you work it, so the oil picks up the dirt and pulls it out. If you see there, you see the rust is coming out here in the oil. It's doing its job. Allegedly. Now we got snap. So you let it sit for a while and you can work it and clean off the excess again, and then you should be good. Let's get this one done. This one has good snap on it. Work it again to get that oil in there and starting to pull out the nasty stuff. You let it soak. Let's sharpen it. So yep, I'm being lazy again. I'm using my workshop bench top. On the smaller knives like this, it's just easier than the sweep on the Zorok. But on a small blade like this is quicker, and of course it has the rocking. You can lock it so it doesn't rock if that's what you prefer. My freehand is iffy at best, so I prefer it to rock because then I can get the whole blade, allegedly. And I'm just going to sweep. I'm starting with coarse, couple of sweeps just to get the angle and clean up the blade, and then go to a fine and clean up. Oops, I did not put that in properly. Not good. Okay, just a couple of sweeps like that. Take the coarse off, put the fine on. I believe it's 1,000 on the fine, but I'm not sure. Clean off that excess from last time. Just using mineral oil here. And repeat. There's another reason I chose this, because I will explain on the next one, because yep, it has a serrated blade. Just gonna strop it very quickly. And let's see if it works. What do you think? It's always hit or miss with me. Paper keeps bending. What? Yeah. So. It's not the knife, it's me. But it's sharp enough. Probably could strop it a little bit more to clean that edge off. But it's sharp. It'll cut anything I need. Gonna do this guy. I'll do the clip first. You saw me do that. And then we're gonna do that serrated blade. There we go. Operator error. So that's the clip. Now we got to do the serrated blade. Now with serrated blades, you have this issue. Now what you can do is you can use a ceramic rod. And if you look at the blade, you got the serrations on this side and it's flat on this side. See that? So what you have to do is tackle each dip or divot just by going over it with a ceramic rod. You don't want to go hard or anything. Be careful you don't start rounding things off. And you just go until you feel it's pretty good. You turn it over and just swipe across here with maybe just on here like that. And that cleans it up hopefully enough for it to cut. Well, the reason I'm using Workshop is they have a ceramic rod. And they have a nice little one here. So I am going to try and do each little one here at about, I'm going to say 17 degrees. And I'm just going to give it a little run over it. With a bigger knife, these divots are bigger, so you have more, what do? You have more room to work. So I'm just going to go over these a couple of times and try and be consistent, which I doubt it, and I have no idea if this is going to work. This is probably the third serrated edge I've done. And now I'm just going to run it over here quickly. It's basically like stropping. Kind of feels cut. I don't know if I can cut paper with it, but it does. It's really designed for things like rope and that. Do I have some 550? Let me look. Okay, I got a piece of 550. Here goes nothing. I will be surprised. Look at that. Huh! Wow. And there you go. A very quick way to do a serrated blade. I'm no expert, but we got an edge on it, so that worked. So there you go. We have two very nice little Schrade, Walden Schrade, old-timer Copenhagen advertisers. Very nice little knives. I really like these. To be honest, am not really attracted to the old-timer knife. It doesn't appeal to me. But these, the handles make all the difference. It's the same thing, just a different handle. So, what do you do? What do you do, right? Cleaned up very nice, just a little single blade, toothpick, jack, peanut, whatever you want to call it. They really cleaned up nice. And this guy was in pretty bad condition. You can see the blade has got pitting and stuff on it, but cleaned up very nice. Can't complain. A nice addition. It's nice to see an advertiser that is not just something stuck on the handle. You see all the different advertisers out there. These are well done. They really are a nice advertiser. Very specific. I can see why American Tobacco Company, whatever they're called, came to these guys. The fact that they made that stamp on it
shocked me. They actually made their own stamp specifically for these knives. And like I said, they made different ones. I even heard that they made fixed blade. Not 100% sure on that. Another thing I heard was that the very first ones they did, the tank stamp was different. And I want to say Ulster. They used Ulster to do them. But not sure. Shine up nice and kind of sort of sharpened it. That's always hit and miss for me. So I am no expert. I'm just here for the love of knives. And cleaning them up. Making them look pretty and giving them a new home where they get cared for. They've done their job. Now they're retired like me. So they get a good bathe, sharpen, and they get put away. You all be safe out there. You know, like I said, when you're doing this stuff, be aware that there's a sharp blade that you're dealing with. Where you put your hand. If you have to put your hand over the blade, be aware of it. Even if you just put a cloth under your hand just to stop it from, just be aware of it. If you can, tape them up and you can work around them. Get the blades done, tape them up, and then do the rest of the knife, especially when you're doing the well. There they are. Two nice little advertisers, right? Don't forget now, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Pretty sure I'll be back. Like I said before, I want to start doing more shorts. I was looking through my stats for my channel. Now and again, I'll restore a knife and then a couple of days later do a short. And I've noticed that the views jump up. When you do the short, they jump up on the restore video. And that's because YouTube puts a link to the video associated with the knife you're showing. If you have one, you can do that. And it boosts my views for that knife. So I think I'm going to do that more, but not just that. I have a lot of knives I haven't done shorts on. It's not going to change the way I do things. I like to look at that to see how my videos are doing, to see what you guys like to watch and don't like to watch. But it's interesting, and I'm always looking for what you guys want to see. I don't want to show you stuff you don't want to see. Doesn't make any sense. Anywho, enough of that. Thanks for watching. Always, always appreciate it. And we'll see you again soon.